Well, hello there, everyone, and welcome along to a fabulous Monday evening get together to get loose and lively and adventurous in your watercolor painting. So I hope you're doing well, guys, and thanks so much for dropping by this evening. I hope you're doing well wherever you may be. So if I can just offer a few quick welcomes to our fabulous little show this evening. So first in the door is Janet Kyle. This is fantastic news. Welcome along, Janet. I do hope you're doing well, and thanks for being the first in the party this evening. So let me just have a little look, just double check on everything. Excuse me for going silent. Sometimes I have a little moment to myself. I'm just checking my little computer. Yes, it's still working. That is fantastic. That means I don't have to rush out and buy a new one straight away. Right, okay, so welcome along, Janet. And it's a little bit chilly, willy day in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. So thanks for being the first in, Janet, and sorting out the venue. You've made it look absolutely spectacular. I do admire your taste. So welcome along. Hope you have a great evening. And Rita, welcome along, and to all the loose people. So exactly, all our loose love going to everyone wherever you may be. And Susan, hi there from Buffalo. Welcome along. And Bill, hi there, Bill from snowy Louisiana. My word. I never pictured it as snowy, but I'm sure there's some fabulous ideas for painting there, Bill. So great to see you, and thanks for dropping by. Hi there, Sally. 43 degrees and sunny in Kansas City. Ooh, my word. So sounds a bit chilly. And Vicky Rowley. Hi there, Vicky. I hope you're doing fabulous. Great to see you. And Vicky's having a little bit of lunch as well. Maybe finish that, or we could maybe pop round and join it. It's always a champagne for lunch, Vicky. It's amazing. Really must try and do that myself. So welcome, Vicky. Great to see you there. And Barbara, hi there. Rainy Atlanta. Amazing, all the different weathers, but there again, that's the planet we live on. So welcome, Barbara. And Wendy, hi there from Minnesota. Hi, and the loose gang are with you, plus cousins. So let's get all of the gang out to work tonight. So welcome along, Wendy. And Eugene, welcome from Hollidaysburg, PA, Pennsylvania, would that be as well? Welcome along, Eugene. And Crazy Art Gallery, great to see you. Thanks for dropping by. And guess who's with us, guys? Guess who's with us? Absolutely. Jenny Fold from St. Devenage. Welcome, Jen. Sorry about the intro there. Lost myself a bit. Welcome, Jenny. I hope you're doing well down there. I think we're level on tiers at the moment. So all the different parts of the country, well, we're all in the same one now, different tiers. So we're both in 4, but hopefully we'll get moved down soon. We'll see how it goes. But I hope you're doing well, Jenny. Great to see you. And Celine, welcome from Quebec. Welcome. No snow at the moment, but main thing is you've got your loose brushes ready, and all the snow and all the rain disappears when you get those moving. Hi there, Janet from Burbage, just around the corner. Hi, I'm waving out the window, Janet. I can see you there. Ready to rumble. And Susan, hi there, guys. So I'll whip through a few more names and let's get started. So hi there, Claudia, hi. And Teresa, welcome. And Sandra, hi. And Emily, and Happy New Year as well to you, Emily. And Toby's doing very well. So, okay, guys, let us get going. Right, okay. So this week, slightly different approach, as in I want to sort of concentrate on a little bit of technique for a start, and then we'll dive in with the painting. So if you've got a little bit of spare paper, if you're painting along, that is, if you've got a little bit of spare paper, let's practice the ideas we're going to use for a start, and then we'll put them into the main thing. So 2 little bits of paper, not big, something what we're looking at, 20 by 25. That's enough. And the smaller bit for the practice, even smaller. So what we've got, we're going to do we're going to do a simple drawing for a start, and this is going to be a floral number this week, a fabulous floral number. I thought we'd drop onto those, and it gives us a nice little invitation to springtime. Because I'm not a cold person, you see. I like to look to spring and summer. So I'm diving ahead, and I want to do bring a bit of sunshine into the day. So we're going to do a couple of flowers, yeah, very quickly, and then we're going to do a slightly larger composition. But I want to talk you through the technique, all the little bits and bobs you need to know. So if there's any questions, please ask as we go along. As my camera operator moves in a little bit. Yeah, he's a great camera operator. We've worked together for years. It's actually called My Arm. My Arm, strange name, but it's my arm is attached to my shoulder, so it's my arm moving everything. So what we're going to do, simple drawing. Let's do this for a start, guys. So if you're with me, or if you're just watching, take some notes, or whatever you want to do, feel free. Couple of little simple ideas. All we want to do, this is the drawing. I did promise to put the drawing on last week, but it's so simple that it's really it's not worth copying. It's easier to do it. Pencil, 4B pencil. Mine's propelling. Any pencil you've got is good. One thing I've noticed, if you've got a very sharp pencil, yeah, freshly sharpened, it can dig into your paper a little bit too much. So quite often I sharpen it and then blunt it, or I used to, but these are sort of pretty well rounded off anyway. So one thing to be aware of, don't slice into your paper too much with a very cleanly sharpened pencil. Blunt it down a bit. Okay, hold it nice and loose, yeah? That means really 2 fingers just resting, not holding right up against the end of the pencil. That will draw you into dangerous level detail, yeah? And I used to be a botanical illustrator, and I used to do it for a long time. So, and I know what it's like. You're really concentrating, you're trying to get all the detail in. We don't want that. We want it loose. We want it loose. Always say loose, okay? So that's how I hold the pencil. Again, just to refresh, I have my paper dead flat, yeah? May not look it on screen, but this is dead flat just on a tabletop. It's not stretched. It's not done anything to it. This is out of a packet of paper. It's £140, cold pressed, not paper. So basically it's a mid-weight, mid-texture paper. Nothing fancy, nothing expensive. That's all it is. Whatever you've got, whether it's in pads, whether it's loose leaf, whether it's the back of an envelope, don't matter, really doesn't matter. The main thing is I do a lot of practice. I paint every single day. Every day. It's not for practice, it's because I enjoy it. And really, once you get to a certain stage, you'll think, oh, yeah, I want to capture that, and you have a go at it. And sometimes it's easy, and sometimes it's not easy. But so it doesn't always work. But the great thing is, it's the joy of painting, yeah? Quote Bob Ross. Okay? Let's get going. So we're going to do a couple of very simple flowers, and really the sort of tulip type shapes. I'm going to do them this side. My drawing method is this, yeah. I use dots, and I quite often say this in the drawing on the live broadcasts, but just to be a little bit more specific with it, dots are positions to allow me to create the bigger line of the drawing. So let's start with a flower on an angle. There's the dot for the top, there's the dot for the bottom. Now all that is the length of the flower, yeah? I'll put a couple of dots either side, and that's the width of the flower. So I've got 4 dots. It's not clogging up the paper with oodles and boodles of lines. What it's doing is giving me a position on the paper, and also a decent stab at the size, both lengthwise and widthwise, yeah? So that's all it is. All I now do is do a curve shape under the bottom and a curve shape over the top. There's my shape. That's all I really want. I could put a little squiggle at the top, But that is it. That is it. Not really worth downloading the template to copy that. You could do that. So length, width, angle, and then you compose the shape. Yeah. So I've got one there. Let's do another one. Let's go the other way. Now, not going to use this in the composition, but we'll do the other way. So it's dot, dot for the length. And once you've got one, you roughly know what you're going to do with the second one. So that's the length, that's the width. Draw a line down, draw a line up. You don't have to go down to there and down to there. You can go back up. No, there's no traffic flow system when we're doing the drawing. So there is yeah, actually, Susan, that's quite my computer screen is covered in splatter paint. Really is. I have to hose it down occasionally. So there are my two little drawings for two little flowers. Yeah. So what I'll do, I'll show you the paints now rather than paint these and then show you them, because you need to know what we're doing, obviously. Simple paints, and again the palette, let's have a little look. The palette is cheap and cheerful, yeah, £2 to £3 in the UK, maybe $4 or $5 US, wherever you may be. It's just plastic, but the great thing is it's got large wells, the flat, so the paint can move about, but it doesn't gather in corners. Quite often you may have palettes that are on an angle, and you get a lot of liquid paint that drops to the bottom of those little angles, and it's a pool of water. The only thing with that is you can't tell how thick or thin the paint is, which can be a little bit of an issue. You can't control it as well as you could on a flat surface. So that's the reason for that. I put my colours in appropriate wells, so yellows, reds, greens, blues. So if they wash together, it don't matter at all. It don't matter no thing, because they're all going to bleed together on the paper anyway. But keeping them in appropriate colours will stop them changing totally. So colours I'm going to use are, let's have a look. Well, for tonight's thing, we're going to use cad orange, lemon yellow. We're going to use rose opera, that's a Daniel Smith's, cad red, this is a alizarin crimson, these are both Cotman's Winsor & Newton colours. Greens, I've got turquoise, I've got sap green, I've got Perolean green, I've got hooker's green, which I found a massive tube of that in my cupboard, so I've started to use that. So don't look, when I'm describing or thinking about what colours to use, don't think I'm intellectual. All it is, I've bought it, I'm going to use it. That's as far as I think. There may be some debate and about why I use certain things. It's nothing deeper. That he's bought it, he's tight, and he wants to use it. Blues, royal blue, Sennelier colour. Cobalt blue is Cotman's Winsor & Newton. Ultramarine blue, Cotman's Winsor & Newton. I've got a bit of mauve there, bit of purple, Cotman's Winsor & Newton, and a bit of sepia. That's Cotman's Winsor & Newton. So you see I use Cotman's a lot. Now the reason for that is there's not so much pigment in Cotman's, and a beautiful word to my ears, they're a bit cheaper. So yeah, they are cheap, but it's with less pigment in, they blend together a bit better. When you're using a lot of very rich pigment, it can take quite a bit of control in. So I stick with these, I enjoy them, and they work well for me. Quite often when I use artist quality ones, I find them a bit too much. So I revert back to these, and I'm usually painting these all the time. Okay, well, two other colours I'm going to try, and again, because I bought them, I don't want to waste them. Little palette, I've been trying different palettes out. Don't like this one, too small, I can't get enough stuff, and it's on a slope, so it all gathers in this little corner down here. I'm going to use this one, which is actually a Daniel Smith's Iridescent Blue, I believe. I'll double check the name, but basically it's got a lot of sparkly stuff in it. I may use a bit of that just to see what it's like. And I'm going to use a bit of this, which is another Daniel Smith. It's only a small tube. I think it's this one, which is iridescent Aztec gold. My word. Right, so anyway, sparkly stuff. Let's throw a bit of sparkly stuff in. So I've got those on my second palette, purely because we ran out of room on the first. Right, lesson guys, number one. And again, the brush I'm going to use for this is Mini Dave, which is a small dagger brush. This is around a size 8 to 10 dagger brush, but it's synthetic. It bounces back into position very quickly, which is great. Quite a lot of dagger brushes, I'm not got one kicking about, but they're very long and flimsy. They go all over the place, you can't control them. And for my money, I'll put them back in the box and send them back, because it doesn't do me any good. Right, so I use an appropriate brush for the size I'm working with. So let me just compare. Sorry about all the gabbling tonight, guys, before we paint. But there's Dangerous Dave, there's Mini Dave. If I used Dangerous Dave on this flower head, I wouldn't be able to get all the stuff in I wanted to. It's too big. It's too big for the job. So use the appropriate size brush for the portion of the painting that you're going to do. I'm actually, absolutely, Janet, I am bursting out tonight. I've got, I'm on a mission. Yeah, on a mission tomorrow, and I'll let you in on this. I'm on a mission tomorrow to go out and buy some butter. Yeah, that's my mission, because I've only got margarine in the house. So that's, you know, that's the state of affairs at the moment. Margarine tomorrow, because we've only got butter tonight. No, we ain't got no butter at all. Right, let's get going. These two, let's paint them nice and rapidly, but I'll describe exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to pick up some water for a start on Mini Dave. I'm going to put a blob of that around the centre. Let's do them both together. Blob of that around the centre. So it's not up to the edges, it's just a blob of water. Simple dimple. Yep. Then I'm actually going to start with my iridescent colour. So there it is. I'll show you how I pick it up. Bit of water on Mini Dave. Backwards and forwards. Iridescent, do your thing. Come and join the loose gang today. Doesn't rhyme, but the essence of it was good. So there it is. That's the liquid stuff I'm after. Yeah, I pull it away from the paint, get it liquid, get it on the brush. Yeah, and I'm not just using the tip, it's the width of the brush. Okay, now I'm going to plonk this on to my little flowers. There's the flowers. You need to say to yourself, oh Andrew, where is the light coming from this very evening? That's what I say all the time. Oh Andrew, where is the light coming from this evening? It's coming from over there, Andrew, coming from over there. So I want to put this on the light side of my flower, which is the top, because the light's up here. On this flower, that's where my light is. So I'm going to drag that down. And then on the second one, the light's going to be here. So I'm going to drag a bit of that down. Now all I do is put the brush down, pressure, drag. Yeah? Down, pressure, drag. That's the name of my second single. And the first one, it's... we've got Marge but no butter. Got that on. Okay. Second colour is going to be Rose Opera. We'll do the same thing. I'll show you it. There it is. Backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. Rose Opera, do your thing. Come and join the iridescent Aztec gold. Still doesn't rhyme, but we're working on it. I'm no Burt Bacharach with lyrics. Right, there it is. All I'm going to do now, plonk that down. So you see, that was definitely a plonk, right? Put that in the middle. Here, plonk that down, drag some down the middle. Okay? Cool as custard, Mr. Mustard. Just taking it across a bit further. So that's my light, that's my medium, this is going to be my dark. Yeah? Dark one is going to be alizarin crimson. Do the same thing, I won't bring it across, it's exactly the same method. Then I'm going to put this along the dark side. So there it is, drag. yeah, and drag. So start at the top, pressure on, down to the bottom, that's it. And the great thing is you can decide how wide or narrow you want it. I put it on narrow for a start, and if I want it a bit wider, I just push it across a bit like that. Job done. That's it. That is my 3 flowers. Oh, sorry, I didn't do 3, there's 2. But what it is, simple drawing, light, medium, dark. Yeah, light, medium, dark. Choose your colours. Obviously you can't go for a dark colour to try and offer the idea of light. It's got to be a light choice of colour. Light could be a very thin wash of a dark colour. Yeah, it'll only be dark if it's very thick and rich, but you could thin it out and it could be your light colour, but any colour will do. Yeah, any colour will do. So that is it. If I want to shape the end, I can either pick up the colour again and shape the end a bit, but what I do is have a little bit of water on the brush and just push the end a bit, agitate it and move it about. Yeah, so that shapes the top end. Same here. I've not washed it, but you know, just for principle's sake, actually always get the colour off your brush. It's a better idea. I'm just pushing that off and moving it along. And then ultimately the final thing I would do with this, I would change brushes. You could potentially do it with Mini Dave, but I'll change brush. Miss Rigger, nice big thick rigger brush, yeah, square cut at the end, quite important. You see, when I splay that out, you see how square the end is. Bit of water, back to shape again. Then I'm going to just pick up, let's try Rose Opera. So I'm making it thicker this time, and I make it thicker not by putting it there. I just pick up the paint by backwards and forwards motion in the thick stuff, and I call that cream or butter. I call that tea or coffee. Yeah. All I do now is I flick a few lines along, and I flick them, but they're quite controlled. So I know I want to go slightly curved that way, and a bit more, because that gives me the description of the shape of the flower. Yeah. Here, same again. Now it's awkward angle for me because I can't move the paper around because of the filming. Everybody go, ah, poor me. But it doesn't really matter. I'm just finding the shape. So that's a light line of description on that side, and then we're changing it to alizarin crimson this side and doing that. But riggers, really, they're not for slow detail, they're for deciding where you want to do it and then just move the brush along. Yeah, so yeah, put it down, flick it, put it down, flick it. So there are my 2 little flowers, fairly quickly done. Well, quickly done, they could literally be done in 2 or 3 minutes. All bleeding together. You've got light and dark, you've got detail for the description of the petals a bit. It's all done, guys, it's all done. When I used to do this in botanical illustration, it used to take me ages. It used to take me months, well not months, but weeks sometimes to paint a flower. That's why I've flipped over to do loose, and I get far more enjoyment out of it painting this way than the other way. Okay, so that is the flowers that way. Now second flower, which we'll need to do, is a little circular face-on flower. This is more of a rose, these are more of tulip sort of shapes. So our second one is going to be like this. Pencil again, yeah, circle. Now then, I could draw it freehand, but the way I would do it normally to help people to follow along with it, and simple, I'll put a dot down, that's the depth, another dot, it doesn't have to be that accurate, that's the width, it's fairly equal sized. A few dots in between, these are set back slightly, a bit like a clock face, and then that gives me dots to hit to get the circle on. So I'm just going to do a very loose, as ever, shape around it. Now it's not dead circle because I don't want that. It's just gone round, but it's in position and it's the size I want. The other thing I'll do is a little dot in the centre to remind me where the centre is. That's all I need. Yeah. So that's the drawing. Now, what we're going to do now, Andrew, I'll tell you what we're going to do now, Andrew, is we're going to change brushes. We've got a bigger brush. We've got Dangerous Dave. All I want to do is put some water on here. So I'm going to start at the top and drag that round. Yeah. Then start here and drag this round. A bit more. So there's quite a lot of water in there. It's placed in the direction of the object, being that way and that way. And then there's a few little white gaps of untouched paper in there. I can't see where they are, and I don't really care. I just know there might be a few in there. And if there isn't, then this is something to practice. So you can practice, and it won't take you long. If you did this for 20 minutes, you'd either go bonkers, or you'd know, I lift the brush off slightly. I don't cover it and force the brush to cover every little section. Okay? Dangerous Dave, I'm going to pick up my first colour and think about where the light's coming from, which is over there. The same place, I won't change. I'm going to pick up some cream strength Rose Opera on Dangerous Dave. All I'm going to do is plonk it down. Now, when I plonk it down, if I dragged it all over, I would cover most of those little white bits. So I'll plonk some down and just see where it bleeds to. So I can see there's no water. I can see there's no water here. So it tells you straight away where the water is. So that half I've put on Rose Opera, coffee strength, and it's left a few little white marks. Sound cool? Fabulous. So the second part, I'm going to put down some cad red. Same strength, coffee strength, but I'm going to do it this side. Drag it, lift a bit. You can see, all of these will be different, but you can see where the white areas are because they show up. You only need a few. Yeah, so I've got light and slightly darker pinks and reds to give you a description of light falling across the object. Okie dokies. Now I'm going to put Dangerous Dave down and I'm going to pick up smaller dagger brush. So that's on there, light, Rose Opera, cad red, coffee strength. Yeah, and that's just floating about. I could easily go for maybe a peat. No, I couldn't actually. Nowhere's open. Theoretically, I could go for a pizza and maybe a Coke, have that, come back, and it'd still be painting itself. So it's an automatic painting method really as well. So we've got that on. Yeah. Now I want some darker colour, so I'm going to go for alizarin crimson. Just picking that up. And I'm going to start with cream. No, sorry, I'm going to start with coffee strength. And I'm going to start in the middle. I'm just going to dab a little bit down. Yeah, just touch it. Then I'm going to work my way around. So I put a bit there, a little bit there. And what this actually is, forgive the word again, Janet. I was referred to Janet because Janet's not keen on this particular method. It's not about not keen, but she's working on it. This is negative painting. These are the dark bits within the flower that draw the eye in. That's all it is. I'll put that down, another bit. So it's gradually a bit like a Catherine wheel. These go out further and further. They're only little lines because this is wet and it's bleeding further and further out. Yeah. So we've got that on, and I'm putting more on the darker side than the light side. Just got little taps of this. Yeah. And just to the edge. Yeah. Sound cool? There's a rose. Very simply done. Now to take it even slightly further, I'm going to use some purple. I'm going to put a little bit of that in the centre. So the bits you want really dark, which are really the centre, to drag the eye really in there. It's like a swimming pool. Drags the eye in there. I'll put a couple of little bits of this elsewhere. But these are the gaps around the petals. That's all it is. All it is, yep. And that's it. So all of the things I did there, the white gaps, they're showing through now. And like I said, it doesn't matter where they were. I'm putting the lighter tone that side, darker tone that side. Then I'm going back with Mini Dave. I'm putting some darker colour, this one being alizarin crimson, circling around, more on the dark side than the light, and then a few bits of purple. Job's a good one. Yep. Right, just the final thing before we do the main one, a little bit more negative painting. Yep. All I'm going to do is go round a little bit of this with some greenery, basically. So all I want to do is put a bit of water down, slightly away from the flower, so it's not touching, because that colour would bleed in. Then I'm going to start with a light-ish green. So I'm going to have a little bit of sap green and a bit of cad orange mixed together. Yeah. Again, to a coffee strength. I'm just going to place some down, not right next to the flower at the moment. So a bit that side, a little bit that side, and then I'm going to get a bit of darker stuff, yeah, which is sap green. Just throwing that in. Then I'm going to get some even darker stuff, which is, I'm going to use Perulian green. You could use Hooker's green, or you could mix sap green and a bit of ultramarine together, whichever you like. So I've got that around the flower. Then I'm just going to chop into the shapes a bit. So I'm going to chop into the rose a bit, then come out, chop in, come out, chop in. So this chopping in again is negative painting. Yeah. You even just use the edge of the brush to leave a line, and then do a couple of little darts into the actual shape of the flower, and that negatively picks it out from the background. And the very final thing, I could make a few leaf shapes, but I'm not painting the leaf, I'm painting around this shape here. So what I'll do, which is interesting, but it'll show you exactly what we're doing. Just here, say I want a leaf just here, don't do this yourself, not with the drawing, I'm just example. Say I want a leaf just there, that leaf there. I would imagine it, i.e. where I wanted to put the darker colour to, and then all I would do is paint a bit of darker colour around it. And then that leaf shape jumps out. Yeah? So all I do is imagine where the leaves are. Say I want one just here, so I paint around it. Or I want one here, say. I just paint around it. And that's my leaf, that's my leaf, that's my leaf. Maybe that's another leaf just there. And when that's on, all I do, and I do it for you, is I could put a little bit of description on the leaf. So Miss Rigger Still very wet, so it's going to bleed a bit, or quite a bit. Line down the centre. A few little flicks out. And there are the veins. Same again. If it's really soaked, then your colour's going to disappear. So that one's quite soaked, that one's quite dry. Flick that on. And again, flicking. So they're little flowers going round. Sometimes you get the colour leaking in, which is, to me, fantastic. I love that. But when colours bleed in, just let it happen, because that is a good thing. So there you go, guys. That is our little run through of what we're going to do. So how to build up a single flower, how to build up a flower just straight on, and a bit of negative painting. Sound good? Fabulous. Right, okay. Let's get back to how we normally do it. Imagine that didn't happen, but now you've got the knowledge, you see. And I really would let yourself practice that a few times. If not, every day. Yeah? Set it up and just do flower shapes, paint them, let them settle. Do it 5 times a day. It doesn't have to be different flowers. You could maybe change the colours slightly or whatever, but just do that to get the grip, get the basics of getting the colour down, where's your light, negatively picking things out. All of that little exercise will cover most of the things you need to do within loose painting. So don't run before you can sprint, as they say, but that will really stand you in good stead. And once you've mastered that, you can actually really progress very, very quickly. Okay, there's paper. What we're going to do, guys, we're going to do it right from scratch, but we're going to build up a composition. Yeah. So what we're going to start with for a start is a cup of tea. I forgot to show you this week's cup of tea, which is almost gone. And this week's snack of the week is a little chocky bar, yeah, which will be devoured very quickly. This is supplied by Cadbury's. This is supplied by Cadbury's because I bought it off them. Yeah. They made it, they left it in a shop for me. I couldn't believe it. And I went in and I bought this off them and left them a bit of money. That's how it works. Isn't that brilliant? Fabulous. Right. Okay. Let's get started, guys. Pencil. Going for a rectangle. Let's start about there. Down to there. Cross. Down to there. There's my rectangle. If the line's too long, put yourself a little dot in the middle, something to aim at. Same here, maybe. And there. So you can have a good go at a reasonable rectangle without using a ruler and spending hours doing that. So I'll just try and zoom in so we've got everything in for you, and then we're gonna throw it. Absolutely, Robin. I've put on 4 stone trying to get Cadbury's to promote me. Not happened yet. 6 stone, they said. You've got to put 6 stone on before we send you a free bar. One more bit of chocolate. Okay, there's the shape. So, Cindy's a C's. Goes C's. What's C's, Cindy? Is that a chocolate bar? Or is that? Yeah, well, certainly will be. Certainly will be. Right. Okay. We're going to think about the composition. So I want this area, this side, to be quite full. Yeah. So I'm putting a little mark to say full this side. This side, I want flowers just jutting out. Yeah. So I'm going to put those little tulip shapes. Let's get the size right for a start. If I do a massive one, that means the roses are huge. So let's do a smallish one like that, little curve. And I want them to taper over. So they're going up, and then some are just lolloping. I don't know if Susan's with us tonight. Guardian of the Loose Dictionary, lolloping down. Yeah, so we're getting some direction to the composition. Just here, a couple of circles. They could be falling out of the frame, looks quite nice. And I want a bit of stuff at the back so I can negatively pick them out. So one circle, two circles, they're joined together. Tell me where the centre is, just there. That's the drawing. That is the drawing. Yeah. All right, individual chocolates. Blimey, everybody round to Cindy's house as soon as lockdown's over. We've got sweets on the go. Okay, guys, there's the drawing. The colours I went through, but I will refresh your memory. I was going to use, or I'm going to use, this one, which is Iridescent Aztec Gold. It's a Daniel Smith. Don't worry if you've not got it. Really doesn't matter. Don't you worry, Wendy. It'll be available for a while to follow along. Thanks for dropping by and give that loose gang a nice cup of tea. Iridescent Aztec Gold, but it's iridescent, so it's got little flecks of reflective material in there, so they glisten quite nice. I'm just trying them out because I bought them and I don't want to waste them. Other colours we're going to use Cad Orange, Rose Opera, Cad Red, Alizarin Crimson, any greens you've got. Basically you want a light and a dark green, that's what you're after. I've got Sap Green, Perolean Green, Turquoise, Hooker's Green. I won't use them all, but I can dip in and see what happens. I've got a little bit of Royal Blue. I may use that. I won't use those, thinking about it. We've got Purple, and we're going to use Sepia. Yeah, so they're all the ones we're going to use. Are we ready to rumble, guys? Are we ready to rumble? Good. Let's do it. Right. Think about what you're going to do for a start. Yeah. Now, if I did the roses for a start, then I've got a lot of paint washing about, and that could bleed all over the place. I don't really want individual bits to dry. I want to complete them and then just move on. So what I'm going to do is the flowers at the edge for a start, and then work backwards. Yeah? Sound good? Are we in agreement? Fab. Good. Right. I'm going to appropriate brush, so these are smaller flowers. I'm going to use a smaller brush. Just got water on Mini Dave. A little bit of water on the flowers. Even putting the water on in the direction of the object. So they're going that way, these are going this way, that's going that way. Yeah, so you start with the water for that direction. First colour I used, and two things to remember. Where's your light? Where is your light coming from? Yeah, it's coming from there, top left. Mini Dave, Iridescent Aztec Gold. If you've not got that, you could use Cad Orange, you could use Indian Red with a bit of lemon yellow in it, something like that. That'll be fine. That'll be fine. So I'm going to daub a bit of this along the top edge of the flowers. And again, if I want more flowers, I'll just daub a few more in, but I put the main ones in for a start and then work backwards. I.e., if I want to add more, I add them after I've got going. Yeah, not 20 here and then ooh. No, build it up like a composition. Yeah. Right, okay, we got that on. Now, second colour was Rose Opera, Coffee Strength, Mini Dave, put him in the centre. I tend to start at the back if I can and drag it forward. But again, as I say, as my lame excuse is, I can't bend my wrist round to get at some of these because of the filming. If I can't, I drag it the other way. Yeah, so I've got those on. Clean the brush. Then I've got alizarin crimson, coffee strength, just dragged round. And this is on the dark side, yeah? Sounds a bit ominous. A bit like a thriller, dark side. But it ain't. All it is where your light don't shine. That may have other connotations, but this night, all it means is on the bottom edge of the flower. Yeah, so we've got that on. They're bleeding into each other. And then I take all the water off the brush, and then just at the edge or the end of the flower, I can extend these a bit. Just if they're dry or drier, just agitate them a bit and just move the flower along a bit. Don't make it too big, don't get out of control with it. And if you're passing the colour about too much, clean your brush off. So that's just run it in the water, dab it onto a bit of tissue. See, all I'm doing is backwards and forwards scraping that. And these unpredictable ends are just that. They're not overly thought out, which is a useful thing. Otherwise you always try to paint everything like your quintessential flower. You get what I mean? It's more prominent with sort of painting trees, but you'll paint them in a certain way and you'll keep repeating that. Even though you may not like the finish, you'll keep doing it. So quite often if you take some of the control away by just chucking the brush down and seeing what it gives you, then that's a better thing. You can adapt it once you've got it on the paper, but if it's still in your head, you're going to carry that oddity with you, that odd shape. So they're little flowers. Yeah, cool, cool. Right, let's leave those. Now I'm going to do the roses. Dangerous Dave now. Find your centre. Would lemon yellow be too bright? Not necessarily. You could try it. Don't make it too thick though. I'd go for cream maximum with that to blend in with the other colours. Bit of water on Dangerous Dave. I'm starting in the centre. I'm just chopping around the centre. I'm stopping about there because that's sort of maybe behind this one. Then water again, dragged round, dragged round. Go and get some chocolate. Now, got that on. Now, light's coming this way. What I'm actually going to do is throw a little bit of that iridescent Aztec gold in this top edge. I didn't do it on the test one, but I don't want to waste it. Just a bit on this top edge and that one. So that's where the light's hitting. Padoom, padoom, crashing into me roses like no's tomorrow. Yeah. Now, Rose Opera, coffee strength, swooping over. To about halfway. Same here, swoop over. And to get a wider coverage with the brush, just more pressure. Light pressure, you'll do a little thin line. Heavy pressure, you'll cover more. And if you've not got the brushes, absolutely no worries. You could use a flat brush, a large brush. Don't use a small brush because you have to keep going back 10 times and you move things about too much. Use a bigger brush than you feel comfortable using if you can. Well, I say if you can do. You pick it up and you use it. But it will feel uncomfortable, but that doesn't matter. Got that on. Now I've got Cad Red. Coffee strength again. Now I'm going around the other way. This is the darker side. I've got an orchestra just in the side of the studio. Okay, lads, you can go now. Thanks for that. Thank you. You were great. No, I think that cost me far too much. I've got to pay expenses, they've had food, and that's all they did. Okay. Cad red. Then alizarin crimson. But you'll notice what I'm doing is going through the light to dark range of colours. So light, my Aztec was light, rose opera, then cad red, now alizarin crimson. But I'm putting this along the dark side. Now, lads, they've packed their instruments up now. They've packed their instruments, so they can't give us another. No. Right, okay. I'm circling around this centre. Now, if it's too wet, which mine is, guess what I do? I wait. Now, I don't have to sit there and wait for that. I'll go and do something else. You know, I'll build a shed. Maybe, I don't know, go and catch a pigeon, something like that. Maybe take Toby for a walk. Or I'll do another bit of the painting. Yeah, circling round, circling round. I do, Janice, yeah. I try to keep them in work. I'll get them in again next week. They'll be practicing all week. They really will. That's good. A little head tilt, blimey. That's the most praise I've had all week. MG McCartney. That's the most praise I've had. A head tilt. Although I went in the kitchen this morning, and guess what? Well, you won't guess. You can guess, but you won't guess. Little Toby was on the kitchen table. Blimey, sat there, looking straight at me. Almost head height. Straight at my face. So did Cat. Blimey. So I have this effect on cats and dogs. This is an avenue I need to explore. Got that on, guys. Changed brushes, Mini Dave. He's Mini and he's Dave. But I want to do a smaller area, so I'm picking up some purple, quite dry, and just putting a dab in the centre. Now this is still wet. Dab, dab. Yeah? And what it does is attract the eye. Then I'm going to put a few little bits of this around, but when I'm putting it down, I'm seeing how far it bleeds. Now if it bleeds a long way, I know it's going to, well, it'll leave a stain of that colour, but it won't hold its position. But if it just totally disappears, then I need to take Toby for another walk and get him off the kitchen table. Toby, I've told you. How many times have I told you? Did he get scolded? If you call, well, if you don't mind me telling you folks, how I did have to reprimand the little fella, and I'll tell you exactly how I did it. Now you might want to try this if you've got unruly dogs, cats, fish, pigeons, elephants, whatever you keep. If you've got them, try this. This is what I did. I went over to the kitchen, the main drawer in the kitchen. I pulled out a dog biscuit. I walked straight up to him and said, Biscuit, Toby, do you want a biscuit? Come on then, off you get, off you get. And he got straight off. Yeah. Now that is how you should apparently train dogs. A little bit of water on Mini Dave. I'm just dragging this through now and just moving these about a bit. Yeah. But obviously from when I put this on, this is drier, so it grips more. Yeah. Obviously if it's wet, it just disappears. But now I'm just pulling this through, and it's lifting and moving some of the colours I've got on. Yeah. So he did okay. He got a biscuit out of that one. I don't think of set him up for any sort of expectation. Every time he sits on the table, he gets a biscuit now. I might try cake next time. Right, that's floating about, guys, okay? Just to keep you up to speed, I'm 3 chunks into a 4 chunk Cadbury's chocolate bar. I've only got one left. Supplies are dangerously low. No, I'll try not to give up the day job. I can't train him. He sits on my lap. He just sits on my lap and lollops. He can actually sit on one leg and lollop his head over my knee. So I have to move my leg around to point him in different directions. It's like one of those fairground rides. Right, let's get some greenery on. Yeah, I'm going to use Mini Dave. I may change, but I'm going to use Mini Dave. So in it here, this is dry. This is semi-wet. Yeah. Now I'm going to put some drops of water on. Yeah. This is to allow it to flow a bit when I get the colour on. Oh God, who's that? Hang on a minute, folks. That is the Queen, as per usual. Every Monday she phones. Your Majesty, I'm busy. I don't want a knighthood. I really don't. What, for my dog training services? Well, yeah, fair enough. I deserve it. Bit of water. Right, okay, we've got that on. Bit of water, bit of water. Now, I'm going to go for a mix of, very light mix for a start, of lemon yellow, cad orange and sap green. Right, Mini Dave. I'm just going to tap this down in the direction of this curve, yeah? So I'm put little blocks of this down, and then it's going to get lighter, smaller and smaller areas, yeah? But it's slightly curving over this way. So these could be little sprigs of leaf or stems or something like that. Not too many beyond the flowers, but just generally a few little dots. Bit up here, bit up here. Reasoning is to pick out the direction of the object, and these are the lightest parts that the light will pick up the greenery. Yeah. Couple at the back. Don't just want it to be blocked in. So I've got it in that sort of area. Now, bit of sap green on its own. Oh, fantastic, Janice. Betty's had a vaccine. Fabulous. That is good news. That is good news. My mum had one the other day. So send Betty, I know Betty, folks. I know Betty personally. Send her my regards, if you would, Janice. Sap green. Just dragging this about. And I'm putting more in this sort of area. Remember I said I wanted to fill this a bit more. And it's going to be a bit more sparse further out. Just tapping it down. Few bits, little taps. The further out it is, the smaller the marks. The closer, the more is filled or covered. Yeah. Right, a bit more around this back. I'm not going right up to these flowers as yet. Just circling round, like Toby does round a biscuit, or I do round a cake. Circling round, yeah. Gradually building up the shape. Got that on? Now, what we're going to throw in? A little bit of... I'll tell you what, I'm going to throw a bit of hooker's green. I do apologise if I didn't say that. I know I said we've got it. Bit of hooker's green. But all I'm going to do is bop that down. bop, bop, bop. But you see all this white space, just untouched paper. So you wouldn't want the hassle of masking all this off, would you? That would take, oh, an age. That would take an age. So it's easier, and also you have far more control of it as if you paint it or chop out the white as you go along. You see, I'm just using the mini Dave just very lightly, making him dance. He's like the Fred Astaire of brushes. Or if you're in the UK, he's like the Freddie Starr of brushes, could be. No longer with us, unfortunately. Drops round. Okay, got that on. Right, we've got this on, floating about. Now I'm going to drop some even darker bits on, which are my Perulian green, but you could have Hooker's green with ultramarine, sap green, ultramarine, just darken down a green, it doesn't really matter. And put little dots around the rose this side. So I'm not just doing a big wave of the colour, I'm just adding it gradually. Imagine if you're baking a cake or something like that. You don't just throw it in, you just add it gradually, don't you? Same thing. The only thing I'm trying to not do is make this too obvious, like a big saw or a Catherine wheel. Sometimes they go in a little bit, sometimes they go in a lot of bit. It varies. Then I can start to pull out some of those negative shapes. Yeah. So down here I can think, well, let's have that as a leaf just there. So a bit of dark, leave that for a leaf in a few mementos. Another one, and these little white areas I like because you can incorporate those into the shape. I.e. go round, that's your leaf. That little bit of white's just a nice light glitch of colour on the thingamajig. On the leaf, sorry. Lost my words, I lost my script there, guys, lost my script. Right, okay. Just excuse me for a minute. Sorry folks, it just for a moment. Well pointed out, we're back in. Are we back on, folks? Give us a hands up, give us a yell, give us a shout if we're back in. Good. Okay, we've got that on. I didn't quickly swap it for a finished painting in a frame. It was, I think the Queen cut me off. Right, okay, so I'm just dropping these little bits of green in. Anywhere you like, don't really matter. And then pick out a few little negative shapes for your leaves. Yeah. A bit more at the top. Now what I will do as well is Miss Rigger. There she is, Miss Rigger. I'm going to start with sap green on Miss Rigger, and I'm just going to flick a line back from some of these flowers. So just here I've got Miss Rigger, flick that back, and these are going to be my little stems. Yeah, blah blah, little dot, flickety blue. Little dot, flickety-flee. You have to say the magic word though, flickety-flew, flickety-flee. Oh, right, okay folks. Bacon. Actually, I'm frying bacon at the moment. Would that be the scratchy noise? Do let me know if it stays or goes, guys. Stays or goes. Okay. Right. Just here, we're aiming these back. Yeah. Aiming these back. Do apologise if there's a bit of a scratchy one there, guys. I'm not sure what it is. We'll see how we go. I'm not sure what it is. Could be bacon. It's not Toby under the desk, is it? Right, just flicking those back, guys. That's just Miss Rigger, and she's ideal for that. But I'm not just doing one for each little stem or each flower. I'm also going to flick a few in randomly. Look at me, get me, get me. There we go. So through some of these white areas, I'm just... right, let's have a little... I'll just unplug this sound folks and try again. See if that works. I'll get my IT man in when I employ one. Flicking this on. Very quick lines. Okay, good. Do apologise about the IT guys. I can never tell what's happening until you tell me. So I'll try a few things. Little lines, drag down. Right, okay. So carry on as normal. Carry on regardless, folks. I do apologise. Okay. Right. Little lines, Miss Rigger. You see how I'm dragging these lines of direction? That was the decision we made right at the beginning. Again, don't overdo them, but try and get that direction going. Yeah? Nice explosion there. Where it's dark, what we can do is a little bit of water. I've just got Miss Rigger. Just going to drop a few little droplets. It's not a bucket load, it's just a drop of water into the areas, and that will move about some of the paint, and it'll give you that sort of watermark texture. But it's not until this sort of stage in the painting that it starts to come together. So you have to be a bit brave, and you have to trust the process, as I call it, which is to get the light, all of the things we've shown you tonight, just to get all of those things on, and it starts to just come together towards the last third of the painting. So just here we've got the greenery is done really. You can throw a little bit of purple in there, and again I'll use a little bit of purple. I'm going to throw some of this into the greenery so it's not just greenery. And these take away a little bit of the texture of the green. Yeah, bacon sandwiches will be ready in a minute, folks. And again, just with these, I'm picking out a few leaf shapes. Not too many though, otherwise you get too drawn into I must do leaves wherever they may be. Just one or two are more than enough. Tell you what folks, I'll just try one thing, see if I can see if this picks. Tell me if there's any difference in the sound. It may not be as faint, but the sound may improve with the bacon. Yeah. Right, got that on. Better. Okay. Does that sound better, guys? Better, better, better. Bacon sound gone. Can you hear me at all? That's it. That would be fabulous. Much better. Great. Okay. I think it was the mic went a bit funny. I've sacked him as well. I told him to get on the tour bus with the band. Right, good. Okay, we've worked that one out. Right, we're just here. I'm just going to put a little bit of suggestion of difference between the two, but not much. It's very tempting to actually separate these two, but all I'm going to do is a little bit more colour, which is alizarin crimson and a bit of purple, just there. A bit just there, that's enough. And then use a bit of water just to bleed that off. Yeah, even that is negative painting. Really all of this is negative painting. Couple of bits of, I'm going to use a bit of sepia and a bit of purple, so it's quite dark. But I always mix darks out of dark colours. I never use black, it's too severe. Because a little tone of the colours that you use will show through, particularly when dry. When you put them down, you don't really see them. This is Miss Rigger doing a little bit of a jive around the centre. Pick out one or two little bits here. Yes, pump up the volume, guys, pump up the volume. In fact, we had a game of Trivial Pursuits the other day. We had my mum round for dinner. We didn't eat my mum for dinner, we had dinner and my mum joined us. Let's get that correct. And then we had a game of Trivial Pursuits, and it was my daughter's music Trivial Pursuits, which was interesting. But anyway, we had a game of Trivial Pursuits, and I was reading the questions, and my mum, bless her, I think she's 86, she's young for her age. But she wasn't too sure on some of the questions, so I kept feeding her the answers. So I said, was it A, Pericomo, was it B, Burt Baccarat, or was it C, Iceberg Slim? Iceberg Slim. And she said, oh yes, I think it was Iceberg Slim. Correct. You're a winner. She won. She knew all of the rap stars, grunge. It was fabulous. What a win. There we go. A few little dabs in the centre, guys. Just on this edge. Remember, these marks are the depth between petals. That's what they are. So got that on. Now just on here we were going to do a little bit of line work. So we didn't do it earlier. It's dry now, but I'll just that. Oh, it's an IT night, isn't it? Don't worry guys, thanks for that. We're back on it, like a sonnet. Yeah, Right, a few little lines on the tulipy ones, just there. Drag, drag, drag. Now this is weak paint. Yeah, I go to pick my mum up now rather than my lad. Just can't keep fishing her out of a skip every week. It's no good. You know, when something like that's happened, there's a bit of an atmosphere in the when you're having a Sunday dinner. My mum's got an old bean canner on her head. It's not good. So when it's an awkward angle, I put the lines on, and then I just drag a bit of water through. Yeah. So we've got all of that on, guys. The very final thing I'll do is a little bit of splatter. You know, a little bit of splatter. So I've got Miss Rigger, I've got Rose Opera, and I'm going to tap a bit on. But again, I'm trying to tap it on in the direction of the object. A little bit on the roses there, and again the reasoning behind splatter, it gives a bit of movement, gives a bit of vibrancy to the piece. So if it is looking static, which this really wasn't, a little bit of splatter on. Even with splatter, you can put that on, and then a little bit of water on, say, your rigger. And then you can flick a few lines through what you've got, so you can pick up these little, I'm just aiming for some of these dots. And they can be part of the painting, so you don't have to pick paint up off the palette all the time. You can use it from anywhere. A few darker dots, you know, now you can just throw on what you like. You can do that quite early on. But again, when you're first doing this, you might get a bit, well, where's this going? But you saw how simple it was, really, and then you see where we actually get to. So, let's have a little look. I think we're about there, guys. If there's anything you want to, any particular questions you want to ask, not IT related, I do apologise about the noise, I'm not sure what that is. I presume it was okay before the freeze, the big freeze. So it might be something to do with that. You can add a little bit more depth. You can go as dark as you like, just in very small areas. Yeah. You don't want big waves of darkness, it's too much. But you can go in and pick anything out you like. What you have to do is not be controlled by reality. You can make a leaf out anywhere, just there, that could be one, anywhere you like. You have to make decisions about where you want these things to appear, not be led by preconceived ideas. That seems a bit of a big statement, but if I had planned out exactly where to put these leaves, then I would have to paint everything in accordance to allow that to happen. You're far better off going with the flow, throwing it on, and then picking things out. I don't know if you used to do that thing at school where where somebody do a squiggle and you had to make a picture out of it. But it's very much like that. You throw everything on, let it move about, because you've got the control to pick paint off or add more on. You really have. So it's not fixed in stone or in paint. You can adapt it all the way through the painting, which is a great thing. even with masking fluid, that's going to restrict you quite a bit, because you've put that on, and you know when you take that off, then that is going to be, you're going to have to work around that specific shape. I don't really use it at all. Final couple of these tulips. I'm just going to put a little bit of darkness in a couple. This is purple, maybe a bit of sepia, quite dark. Very small area. And that's going to give me a suggestion of the inside of one or two of these tulips. So put it on for a start, see what it looks like. That's okay, bit there, maybe one here. So I'm putting them sporadically. Yeah. And finally, a bit of water, I could bleed a bit off. And that just softens it up as well. So there we go, guys. I think we're about there. Everything we did there, we did the little run through exercise, which I would suggest you try that a few times, because that really is the key to a lot of this. Getting the colour on, think about your light, all those sort of things. Just look back on the video and have a practice of that. Practice that each day. It's simple, but it'll pay huge dividends, it really will. Then you can bring that into a bigger composition like we've done just here. The earlier ones, I would suggest you do that with some of your paintings, particularly if you're trying your own. Just practice the elements and then bring them together, rather than diving in with one massive international piece, because it's difficult. And a lot of people say, a lot of the artists that you see can do that because they've done it day in, day out, so it's fairly easy for them because they know where they're going with it. You need to know where you're going, so the practice will allow you to do that. One little thing I always suggest you do, one of these, put your name on, put mine on if you like, but I'd suggest you put yours on, because that shows you're proud of what you do. Yeah, and whatever you do, it'll be a learning process. So always, never knock yourself down. Never say to yourself, well, I can't do this, this is not for me, it's rubbish, blah blah blah, because people say that all the time, and you're only harming your perception of what you can do. You need to put that to one side and just be positive. Big yourself up, say this is fantastic, I love doing this, this was really enjoyable. That's what you need to be doing. Build that in, and you'll start to see where you're going with it, and you'll start to feel good about it. But you'll never feel good if you constantly say, didn't work, it's not like mine, it's not like such and such is. No, what it is like yours. You want your own style, you want your own way, and that will be where you should be aiming. So, big speech, guys. Nice finish. Well done for sticking with this, and sorry about the little glitches. I'll have a look into that. Maybe even buy another microphone. Unless Toby's been chewing the wire. So thanks for joining me. This will be our challenge for this week. This will be on for a couple of days, available on YouTube, and then it'll be forever on loosewatercolours.com. So it'll be on the broadcast page on there, and after that it will be in the past broadcasts, which were over 130 past broadcasts now, so about 20 years worth to watch and paint along with. You may even hear a few repeat jokes in there. There's only a couple. Other than that, we've got new tutorials on this week as well. We've got another one going on tomorrow, so they're great ones to try, and I think tomorrow's is an intermediate one, a good one. Very nice little, well, I won't tell you what it is. Have a little look and give that one a try. So if you want to get loose, drop over. You can trial it for a month, see if it's for you, or you can join all of my people over there, and also you get invited to join the Facebook members only Facebook group. So if you join loosewatercolours.com, you can come and join my little band who have got a private members group on Facebook, where we chat all day long. So, you've been stars, guys. Take care of yourselves, particularly at the moment, and we shall meet again very, very soon. Goodbye.